Okay, Lloyd, we don't have Ronnie with us today.
We was unable to round Ronnie up. That was kind of a tongue twister there this morning. But he's close enough that Ronnie will occasionally be with us, and it's always fun to have Ronnie on board.
I have to come up with a topic that is suitable to draft the most effect from Ronnie. You know, he's good at telling those stories and stuff. And so I have to think up something that would be, and I don't have that yet in my mind. I came up with this one today just because you suggested it the other day.
Trivia?
The trivia we're doing today. Yeah. And I'll think up something, and we'll invite Ronnie over again and do one or two more with him.
Well, Ronnie is probably one of the most knowledgeable trivia. Ronnie has so much useless information floating around in his head.
Yeah, but we're not. Well, maybe that was the thrust you were thinking about for this trivia episode, but it didn't occur to me that you wanted us to sit here and say all the trivia that we knew. That's not what I thought we were going to do. I thought we were going to talk about the concept of trivia and why it's so popular.
Well, we're talking about that too. I think, when these ideas come throughout my life, back years ago, when I first started out trying to write stories, I was trying to get my stories into magazines and so forth, and I just had a head full of stuff. And when I would sit down to write it, I'd totally forget what it was. I had this great idea yesterday, and I sat down to write it, and I'm like, everything just goes away.
Well, inspiration comes at all odd times. Even in the middle of the night, people will come up with the inspiration, like in their partly awakening phase or something. Mm-hmm. And the ones that are really on top of it, they'll get up and write it down and then go back to sleep.
Well, over the years, I do that. If I have an idea, I can jump up out of bed and come in here at 3 a.m, and I might be the rest of the night writing about it. But if I don't do that, I say, well, I'll write this tomorrow. That was a great idea. Tomorrow I'll write it. Tomorrow I sit down and I don't have a single thought on it. So the trivia thing is kind of like that. I sit down and I think of 50. Oh, it would be a fun topic to talk about.
Well, there was a popular game.
You sit down and you forget everything.
There was a game called Trivial Pursuit.
Yeah.
That's why I titled this episode The Pursuit of Trivia.
Oh, okay. You added a little to it there.
Yeah.
Well, that's okay. What you're doing here is adding your own.
But I mean, you're right along with the thing, talking about why it's popular or what it does, how it helps the concept of trivia and using that. Why was it so popular back then that they made a board game out of it?
I guess because it is so popular. I mean, trivia are little meaningless things. Trivia.
I mean, it wasn't just board games
that are common things. It has to be common to make it, I think.
It didn't just end up in board games. It was the main focus activity at bars. You go to your trivia night at the bar. These guys would get together, or women, and they'd sit around. They'd have teams, and they'd play against teams for. Mm-hmm. And the bartender would come out, and he'd give the question, and whoever could answer it.
Well, let's just start. I know that your idea wasn't for us to just sit here and spout trivia, but let me just spout one or two, and let's figure out why we're so interested in this trivia thing. Did you know? You remember the TV show Mr. Ed?
Yeah.
The talking horse.
Right.
Or do you remember an old B-Western cowboy star named Alan Rocky Lane?
Yeah, I remember that name. I can't recall any movies or shows.
He made quite a few. None of them are memorable, but it was
long about the same time as Johnny Mac Brown.
Johnny Mac Brown, yeah. Alan Rocky Lane was a cowboy star, wore 2 guns, and rode a black horse, and he had a distinct voice. Did you know that the voice of Mr. Ed was Alan Rocky Lane?
The actor that
played the cowboy star back in the
Hello, Wilbur.
Yeah, hello, Wilbur. That was Alan Rocky Lane. And here's another piece of trivia for you. And this will be, I'll back off the trivia because I know lots of this. Ronnie knows even more. The buckskin horse that Matt Dillon rode on Gunsmoke.
Yeah, I know that one.
You know that one. What was I going to say?
Bonanza father,
Ben Cartwright.
Ben Cartwright adopted that horse, and he became his horse, and then he kept him after that.
He rode him on. That's the horse that he rode.
Right,
on.
but he owned him. He kept him out to pasture.
Okay, well, I didn't know that part of it.
Yeah.
He doesn't look like the same horse because Bonanzas were filmed in color, and the early Gunsmokes were black and white.
Yeah.
So
from a psychological view, now we're getting into the psychology of it since you're familiar with that field.
Okay.
Why is there such an interest in trivia, or seemingly trivial questions? What's the interest in it?
Well, I really don't know, except it is interesting, isn't it interesting?
I know, but why? There was even a game produced based on it. Bar games are made.
But the game itself was based on the idea.
Right.
That was just
yeah.
The idea was there before there was a game. Two guys sat around and shared trivia.
Why do we have an interest in that idea of knowing trivial facts?
Have you figured that out yet?
No. Do we somehow feel Do we feel like we're smarter because we know these little factoids?
I do. No, I couldn't concede to that. Otherwise, I'd have to concede that Ronnie was smarter than me
because he knows more.
Because he knows more trivia. But no, I don't think it has to do with being smarter. I think it. I don't know why we're interested in those things. It's not just trivia. It's paying. It has to do with paying attention. Now, my wife and I can watch movies, and I can watch a movie, and I say, "Oh, I've seen that movie." She said, "How long has it been?" I said, "Oh, about 30 years ago, I saw that movie."
Yeah.
And she'll say, "What's going to happen?" And I can tell her every move that the guy's going to make. All right, now he's going to sneak up on him, and he's going to pull his gun out, and he's going to shoot him. And she'll say, "How do you remember such useless data from seeing a movie 30 years?"
Well, some of that
she can't even remember the movie she saw last night.
Some of the useless data that you're talking about, the trivia, becomes such a factoid, such a popular trivial item that it becomes common knowledge and everybody knows it. So it's not unique anymore to say, did you know that Bob on the Lucy Show was really left-handed? He wasn't right-handed. That something like that might become so known that. So what? Everybody knows that.
Nobody's interested anymore. But the fact is, a lot of people don't know this trivia. That's why it remains a popular
sport. The one you just told me about the horse, everybody knows that now. It's like an old man repeating the same story over and over.
I bet you they don't. You know it because we've known one of so long. You've heard me tell it time and time again. But that you assume because you know that everybody knows.
Well, it's passed around Facebook many times. A lot of those things are put on Facebook, and
I bet you a lot of people.
Well, why don't we push ourselves? Why don't we become more noble? Why don't we push ourselves to remember important facts, important things, instead of trivia? Are we cluttering our minds by remembering trivia?
Well, that's what I was about to tell you a little while ago when you so rudely interrupted me.
It wasn't rude.
I used to read these ideas that I would try to remember ideas and write them on a little pad. I used to have a little pad.
That's personal ideas, though.
Yeah. So that I wouldn't forget it. Later, when I get back and sit down in front of the computer, I'd pull, what was that I was thinking about? Oh, yeah, here it is. And I just would come back. So I read this article in a Writer's Digest that I've thought about and I've kind of adhered to ever since. That when you get an idea for something, like to write about, instead of trying to remember it, because truly 99% of the ideas we get in our head are worthless, right? A business idea, business people, even Elon Musk, of every good idea he has, you can be pretty sure he's thought of 1,000 that he discarded.
What about, are they totally worthless, though?
They're worthless. They won't work. So what this idea was that when you get an idea, don't try to remember it. Try to forget it. Throw it out. And if it's an idea that's worthwhile, it'll come back. It'll come back knock on your door and say, "Oh, here's that. Did I see you yesterday?" Yeah. Well, he said, "Get out of here, man. Go put on some clean pants, clean shirt, comb your hair, come back dressed up a little better." And then tomorrow, that idea will come back. Now he's got a tuxedo on.
How does that? Where does that fall though within the lexicon of trivia that we remember?
Well, you're saying that we're cluttering up our minds. I'm saying that 99% of the stuff that we try to remember is cluttering up our minds. You're right.
Okay. Yeah.
Not just trivia, but trivia is not something that we deliberately set out. I don't set out every day to find a new piece of trivia that I can confuse you with. It's just there. I just remember,
Yeah. Why is it important though to remember those kind of things? Or is it interesting?
It's not important.
Or just fun? Is it just
I think it's fun, yeah, but it's not important.
Do we?
I mean, when Ronnie knows all this trivia, but when's the last time you heard Ronnie come up with a really great idea?
Can we agree that it's just entertaining ourselves when we can come up with a factoid that other people probably don't know?
We could probably say that. Yeah, it could be true or maybe not.
So we think we're smarter.
Do we do it because we think we're smarter?
I think so. I think we have this innate desire
to show up. Somebody. Did you know this?
To be smarter than somebody else? And look, I know why that. I know what about that horse at
Ben
Cartwright Road. Do you know about that horse?
So what you're saying, what I hear you saying then, is that it would be an insecurity on the part of your own intellect. So you come up with these stupid trivia things to try to demonstrate that you're smarter.
Yeah, but it's not
because you need that for your self-esteem.
It's not an individual.
Is that what you're saying?
It's not an individual personality fault. I'm saying it's widespread. I think everybody has that innate desire to do that.
Some of us have more than others.
It may be. It's like that. Like you told us the other day on that podcast that some people are dumb and they don't really know.
They don't know it.
They don't know they're so dumb.
Oh, that's called the Dunning-Kruger effect, by the way. That was Professor Dunning and Professor Kruger.
Dunning-Kruger.
Yeah. Dunning-Kruger effect. Well, you make a good point there.
Well, the implication of just the name, the basic name for trivia, it's trivia. That implication is that it's not really important.
It's not important.
It's just
by its very nature. It's not important.
It's not important. So my question, I go back to that what I asked a few minutes ago. Shouldn't we endeavor to read from the best books? Shouldn't we endeavor to clutter our minds not with useless trivia, but with important trivia? Important ideas, important information.
Well, I think you're right. I think we should, yes. And I do that. I have been known to go down to the library. In fact, many years ago, I had heard people mention from time to time, Socrates said thus and so, or Aristotle said this, or, and I really didn't know much about those guys. So I decided that to educate myself, I would go down to the library, and I did. I went down and checked out every book I could find in the whole library about Greek philosophers. And I said to myself, well, I know I won't understand this stuff, but I'm going to at least expose myself to it. But I read it, and I found it fascinating. I understood most of it.
Yeah.
And it has been of value to me throughout my whole life. I now know a little bit about Socrates.
But if you were at a party, and you're sitting around and everybody's telling their own jokes and you
start talking about Socrates.
And you come up with, hey, did you know that Socrates? Get out. We don't want to hear about Socrates. We want to hear about something.
Now, Philip, I wouldn't do that. But but Socrates, that's worth knowing about, right? That was a noble effort on my part, wasn't it?
Well, yeah. But I'm trying to establish the need for trivia. And so if you have a very high command of useful facts, information that's very useful, either in your own specified field or in life in general, a very broad world knowledge of facts of different things, history or whatever, chemistry, and And you still, when you go to a party, you say, "Did you know Pernell Roberts is bald?" You know, I guess what we're talking about here is these little trivial.
Who is Pernell Roberts? Did you know Pernell Roberts?
Yeah.
Was it Adam on Bonanza?
Yeah.
Did you
Really?
know
That was Adam's name? Pernell?
And did you know that he really was not Ben Cartwright's son?
Hey, I'm smart, and I know it.
I knew that. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, needless to say, it does play a big part in our general lives. It's almost like on a scale with Facebook. You know, there ain't nothing on Facebook that's real. You know, it's all a bunch of people talking about Pernell Roberts.
How come we can't put it down?
Because it's so much fun.
I check Facebook every night right before I go to sleep.
I know, I do too.
I gotta check Facebook to see if anybody said something stupid today.
Yeah.
I find out what's going on in that more.
The pursuit of trivia. Yeah.
Pursuit of trivia.
I don't know what we.
But it is kind of fun. The trivia things in life are the little things that pass us by, and I guess it's kind of fun to see something like that nobody else sees. Did you know?
I'm sure if Ronnie was here, he wouldn't let us have this philosophical argument. He'd be
quoting trivia.
He'd be quoting trivia.
Yeah. When Ronnie gets something on his mind, you can't stop him. You can hold him back a little bit, but he'll eventually, if you don't keep leaning on him right to the end of the program, he'll be back with it. He'll tell that John Donne story.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't care what subject you're talking about. Ronnie will bring anything around to telling that John Donne story. What do you call that? It spells segue. You know, I've read that word for years and years, and I always called it segue. I'd hear them say segue.
That's like the word for the line at the store, the Q. Did you know all those other vowels are useless because it's just a Q with a bunch of E's and U's after it.
I always called a bodice. You know, a woman's thing goes over her breast.
Yeah.
I always called that a bodice.
A bodice.
Bodice. And it's only been a couple of years ago, probably.
Well,
somebody corrected me, so that's called a bodice.
Yeah, that's just everybody has their level of ignorance and different pronunciations or whatever. You aren't born and grow up with a knowledge of how to pronounce every word in the dictionary. You got to learn it at some point.
Well, some words give you away, though. I mean, you really ought to, correct that. Like if you're otherwise educated, because I bet I could.
Yeah.
You know, if you got a PhD and you're sitting around talking in literature and you're sitting around talking, I bet you at some point I'd hear you revert back to an expression that you used that would just totally reveal your hillbilly upbringing. You know?
Yeah, well,
I do that all the time. I think once you learn to talk, it's very difficult, especially regional accents. Like a Southerner, there was a guy. Did you know this?
No trivial.
There's a guy named Wayne Rogers that used to be
MASH.
Oh, MASH.
Yeah,
he was on MASH. He's from Alabama.
Really?
Yeah, and he had a strong Southern accent. When he went to New York to get in plays and stuff, he roomed with, guess who? Peter Falk.
Oh.
You know how Peter Falk, Columbo?
Yeah.
You know how Peter Falk talked? Very New Yorkish.
Yeah.
He roomed for several years and became close friends with Peter Falk. And he sounded like a Yankee the rest of his life. He never went back to talking Southern unless he was playing a role or something, you know.
Well, your mannerisms, your voice, your accents and all comes from the people you're around. You know, you can take a baby, put them in South Alabama, and they'll grow up talking like South Alabamians. You put them up in New York, they grow up talking like New Yorkers. It's whoever you grow up learning how to speak around.
But see, that's that's my point. Dwayne Rogers didn't do that.
I know, but you can change. Just like he did. You put yourself into another place. It's like, okay, I'm another baby now. I'm going to learn this language. I'm going to learn this accent. And you can do that. People do that. And you're saying that they will revert back to what they...
Most of the time they revert back.
Well...
I was going to use Billy Bob Thornton as an example. Of course, Billy Bob talks the same, whether he's in the movies or whether...
That's the same. That's the same with old McConaughey. He's got that Southern North Carolina.
Talks the same.
He talks the same, whether he's on a talk show or in the movie. He's got that same accent.
But you do have these guys that are chameleons. Marlon Brando was, one of those that can pick up different accents.
That's an actor skill. They developed that. These guys, some of these guys from England, they were like that guy on the Band of Brothers, the head guy, the redheaded guy. He's English, and when I first saw that show, I never knew he was.
Who was this?
The captain, the head of the Band of Brothers on that show.
He's English. Yeah,
he's English.
Yeah, I can't think of that guy's name. But yeah, he's English.
And several actors like that. I find out they're like Idris Elba, the black guy who's English. I saw him on another show first, and I thought he was like a New York, Boston kind of guy,
Mm-hmm.
But he's British.
Well, a lot of these American stars are British. Tom Hardy, he's a huge star in America. Most of the time he talks New York, the New York street type talk.
Well, this whole trivia thing
hasn't really gone anywhere, has it?
Well, we don't normally go anywhere,
Well, you make a good point there, Phil.
We just talk a lot about it, and hopefully it's interesting to some people to hear a different approach to a question. They just assume, it's just their normal day-to-day activities to spout some trivia.
Well, I brought this up that we might do a program on this because I thought I would shine.
Well,
obviously, I kind of haven't shined too much here because I can't. I've only thought of one or two old trivia that's different. I had some really great new trivia. I said Philip will like this program because Philip doesn't know this.
You did the same thing with the careless comments, though. You had one careless comment, and I stole it.
And I thought he made a program, didn't I? Well, as a writer, I write a column for the Atmore Advance. The big, the New York Times Atmore Advance. I think about 3 or 4 people read my column in Atmore.
You think there's room in a public venue like that, a public forum like the newspaper editorial column? You think there's room for a Trivial Pursuit game?
I was thinking
is that too common? Is that too ordinary?
No, I think... See, there's a difference. Now, you write things down, as you did here, notes.
I kind of have to so I can see my ideas.
I typically don't do that. I depend on... That's why I like doing an interview format. Because if I do an interview with you and you're telling me, and I ask you questions about yourself, you're not going to forget anything about yourself. If I say, what about this, what about that? Then our conversation's never going to run. We could talk all day long.
Yeah.
But if we're talking about a certain subject, I do that when I write. If I sit down and write a column, a lot of times I get up out of bed at 3 o'clock in the morning and come here with an idea, and I write one line, and it's not worth staying awake before I go back to bed. I thought I had a great article here, but I really only had a sentence.
You have to start.
And I do that all the time.
You had an idea.
But then again, sometimes I don't do that. Sometimes once I start putting the words down, what I prefer writing to talking like this is because writing, you have the visual, it's like putting a puzzle together. When you start seeing the pieces come together, this piece here will go here, this piece will go here.
Yeah, you can edit it.
It's easier to edit and put all together your thoughts. So I usually construct my thoughts. I get a flash in the pan idea, and then I start to construct it into words. Now, you probably think more in terms of pictures, the way your brain works. I don't know.
Well, not necessarily pictures, but graphic representations
images.
of words.
Yes, and I think more in terms of words.
Because when I was taking notes in college, I would have to take notes. I would scribble everything, just about everything the person said who was teaching. I'd scribble it as fast as I could. Sometimes I'd have trouble reading it, but I'd go back and I would rewrite those notes,
with keywords,
the key ideas and all. I would go through and figure out what I wrote down, and then I'd rewrite it so it was easy to read, and that's what I would study from, something that I wrote down. Because having written it down twice, it places it in my memory better than just sitting here listening to it.
Well, having taught psychology, I've been to college for a few years. I learned more than the students about psychology. I love psychology, but this idea of studying, when you and most students don't know how to study today. I'm talking about high school or college. They really don't know how to study. I asked several times, if you take your notes of what I'm lecturing to you today, and you write down your notes, and we're going to have a test next Friday, okay, on this class. When will you look at your notes again? If you take them today, this is Friday.
Yeah.
Next Friday we're going to have a test. When will you look at those notes next?
Well, see, a similar concept I tried even teaching little lessons in art, like art history, things where they had to take a little test. So I would give them information on a sheet of paper. I'd say, now read that, and then you can have that in front of you, and here's the test. And I'll give them a sheet and the question would be, what two colors make orange? And over here on this paper is the answer. They won't go back and look. They won't go back and read the answer. They sit there, let's see, what did he say? What two? And it's right there in front of them. So you can read it. So open book test depends on the person's ability to know.
Oh, I've tried that. I've tried giving an open book test. They said, boy, if we only had open book test. Okay. You can get your books out. Oh, you gonna let us look in the book? Yeah. They didn't do any better. They didn't do any better on an open book test than they did with a closed book.
Yeah, it's just a behavioral.
But to the notes thing, I want to finish that thought up because I know we're about out of time.
Yeah, we're out of time.
Most of them will say, I'll look at my notes next Thursday, right?
Yeah.
Or Friday morning right before the test. Well, see, that's why that doesn't work, because when you take notes, most of the time I can't read my own notes.
Yeah, that's the same thing.
Right? But if I look at them an hour after I get home, I can say, I can't hardly read this, but yeah, I know I can remember what I said.
That's my same process, but I write it down a second time.
You can sort it all out, yeah. But if you wait until next week, you won't even know what you wrote down. And even if you can understand the words that you wrote down, you won't be able to connect the thoughts, right? So that's why I say most young students don't know how to study.
Well, that's unfortunate because that's the way they learn a lot of trivia.
There's a little piece of trivia for you. Yeah. But anyway, I guess that's all we have to say on trivia.
Yeah, there's not really much to say on trivia. It just pops up when the opportune times at parties or whatever. It's why they made a party game.
Should we be writing this stuff down when we think of something like that? Is it important enough to write it down?
No. We just come in and talk about it and record it and then go to the next one.
Yeah. Well, do you write joke? If you hear a good joke, do you write it down?
You know what's important about what we're doing is the camera recording us in a visual format for great-grandchildren to stumble on 100 years from now. That's what's important. We'll see y'all later. Next one.
Next episode.
Yeah.